Thank you. First of all, I wore a tie because Shai Davidi wore a tie, and I thought it'd probably be a good idea to wear a tie. Nobody else is. That's okay. They told me to come up and talk for a couple of minutes and then take some questions. I didn't really know what I was going to talk about when I got here, but then listening to Meredith and listening to Dave just brought back a ton of memories, some good. And Meredith talked about Twitter a lot, which is not, one of my favorite places, but I don't know if there's anybody here who I've blocked. But I know that's quite a community of Blue Jays fandom. And everybody says, I don't know why you did it. And I'll tell you why. If anybody ever asks you or says to you, Wilner blocked me, what a jackass, I don't know, I didn't say anything. It's either because they called me an asshole or stupid or said, this guy is terrible. And I had one person say, I hope the plane goes down on the way back from this road trip. So, for me, it's a matter of I deal with enough negative stuff. I don't want to read it in my timeline all the time. So I feel like I don't need to deal with that. But otherwise, Twitter's quite lovely. Pardon me. There may be quite a bit of coughing tonight. I've been down for a couple of weeks, and unfortunately, those of you who listen regularly know I missed a week sick, which was horrible for me. I mean, this is not a job that you get into if you want to take sick days. So it had been 5 years since my last, and that's because they wouldn't let me come into work because I had flu symptoms and everyone was going crazy with the swine flu, and they thought, stay home, you're not coming in, forget it. So that was 5 years ago, and now this, and it's almost gone. Dave Bedini talking about all that old-timey stuff reminded me of sitting behind the Brewers dugout on opening day in 1982 in the rain, and the first Blue Jay game I ever went to by myself, and Mark Bombach got his ass kicked, and the Blue Jays lost 14-5 that day, and there was nobody there, and I couldn't remember the circumstances. I mean, it was a rainy day, but it was opening day, and the Brewers wound up going to the World Series that year, and I thought, why the hell did Mark Bombach start that game? And I remember running into Pat Gillick a couple of years ago. He was coming out of Primetime Sports. I'm allowed around Primetime Sports, by the way. So I ran into Pat Gillick, and I said, why the hell did Mark Bombach start that day? Was somebody hurt, or did you think he was good? He said no, it was because of the rain. They weren't sure where the game was going to go, and they wanted to save Dave Steve, and Steve pitched the next day. And so I don't know if that means anything. I remember 1987 vividly. I was at the Blue Jays' last win in 1987, which was a Saturday afternoon at home against Tigers. I remember Juan Benitez dancing on the dugout after the game, celebrating, and then them losing 7 in a row. And I still think, and I may go to my grave believing that the 1987 Blue Jays were the best team that they've ever put together. I don't know how many of you, I know this is a younger crowd, but Jimmy Key should have won the Cy Young, George Bell won the MVP, and I still honestly believe right now that, at Tiger Stadium, there was, I don't believe this is a fact, but it goes, at Tiger Stadium, there was a little landing in the outfield. A little piece of padding before the fence, and the fence was only about 7 feet high, I think. And there was a little landing, and I honestly do believe that if George Bell had stepped up on that landing, that last game, he would have caught the ball that Larry Herndon hit out for the only run of the game, and that game would still be going on right now. I firmly believe it was the greatest game ever played. Frank Tanana and Jimmy Key, it was spectacular. And Garth Orge grounded out to the mound to end it. Terrible. What else can I tell you? I'm in my 13th year doing the Blue Jays talk, and it's fun. It really is. It can be frustrating, but the truth of the matter is, I mean, there have been some really, really bleak years for the Blue Jays in the last 12. But the fact that people keep calling and people are still, I mean, it's way better to have people call in pissed off and than not to call at all. So it's great that there's still that support and there's still that desire for this team to do well. And passion often overrides good thinking, but that's all right, you know, as long as you're nice about it. So it's my 13th year. 02 was the first year. 13th year doing the Blue Jays Talk. I've actually been, I'm very proud to have had a media pass to go to the X and then the Dome since 1988, which to me, I think back, and it is amazing to me that I've had a pass now for, this is my 24th season with one. I wasn't accredited, and this may make some people angry. I wasn't accredited in 92 and 93 and 94, so it may be my fault. I don't know. But I started in 88 when I was working for U of T Radio, and then in 95, I worked for U of T for 4 years, and then in 95 I started at 680 News, so I got back in. But it really has been incredible to just be a part of things. In 89, I met Tom Cheek and Jerry Howarth for the first time, and then to wind up a decade later working with them is just, I mean, stupid. And I think about, and Dan Shulman's here, and we'll talk to him soon, but just the history, I mean, this is my team, and this is, you know, I'm almost as much of a day oneer as there is. I have memories of the Blue Jays that precede Jerry Howarth's memories of the Blue Jays, because he didn't get here till 1980. And for me to be one of only 4 human beings ever to have been a regular play-by-play on the radio of the Blue Jays overwhelms me all the time. I mean, Tom Cheek, Jerry Howarth, Alan Ashby, and me. It's as one of these things is not like the other as it could possibly get. So there's, I mean, that's just, it's silly. And as much as I know, you know, people who only hear me on the radio think, I don't know what they think, but a lot of it's not good, let's say that. But I want you to know that I am very passionate about this game and very passionate about this team. And you know, if I could have afforded it, I would have bought a Mickey Klutz shirt in 1982. It's those kinds of things. I mean, the Blue Jays are as integral, and the fact that, you know, you get to do it for a living is just, it's crazy. And the fact that all of you are here and you actually want to hear me talk about it is even crazier. Brendan Kennedy of the Toronto Star is here, and he's going to be talking at the next Pitch Talk in June. He suggested I talk about some of the nuttiest Blue Jays Talk calls. And the truth of the matter is, very often, like, I'm like a closer. Once a show's over, it's over, and I've forgotten completely about it. And very rarely are there things that stick out. I mean, there was a call on Thursday night after the 8 walk, and what a welcome back after a week off sick, by the way. So the Blue Jays, Delabar walks 2, Santos walks 3, Happ walks 3. It's it was horrifying. Does anybody know, by the way, that broke a team record? I had to look it up. There were 7 walks issued in the first inning of a game in June of 1994 against the Red Sox. They wound up scoring 10 runs. The 7th walk, God bless Cito, was intentional. But does anybody know who the 2 pitchers were who combined to issue those 7 walks? You were probably at that game. It was Brad Cornett and Scott Brow. So there you go. Brad Cornett, one of his 4 major league starts, and then the great Scott Brow. But I had a call after that game saying, "What the, you know, all right, enough of the Santos already. This is terrible," because obviously, you know, 1 blown save. But I don't know what they're thinking with Santos, with Delabar. Got to get Ricky Romero up here and have him play. That was a real life, honest to goodness phone call. And there was another one, and I wish I could remember. Maybe Stoughton remembers, because he used to do the Wilnerisms, which was awesome. I love that in the early days of the Drunk Jays fans. There was a caller in late whatever. It was September. Vernon Wells had just signed the big contract, and he was having his first crappy year with the big contract. And some September call-up for the Orioles, and it's killing me that I can't remember this guy's name. Goes 3 for 4, he hits a couple home runs. He's a 29-year-old who's got, never did anything. And some guy calls up, we got to trade Vernon Wells for that guy right now, right now.
I think it was the Pirates. Wasn't it one of the Pirates?
He may have played for the Pirates. It was a September game with Baltimore.
I remember the call.
Yeah, and he may have eventually, right. So those are the ones that stand out to me. There was a guy a couple of years ago who I'm sure was putting me on with the Gino Gonzalez and the Mark Burley, that righty from Chicago or something. But for the most part, it's good, and it's people who are interested in baseball and people who sometimes want to learn more about baseball, sometimes they want to learn about their fantasy teams. And so fielder's choice count against your on-base percentage. I mean, when you get a call like that, that guy's got fantasy issues. But I am proud that I kind of brought that whole, not all of sabermetrics, because I don't talk about WAR and I don't talk about, and if people bring up WAR to me, there's so much misconception about it. I ask them what it measures. If they can't explain it to me, then I'm not answering your question. But a win is not a win. It's 10 runs, but whatever. But I was the first, I think. I don't know. Saying this in the presence of Dan Shulman scares me a little bit. But I was the first broadcaster who really talked about on-base percentage and how important it is, and who really tried to take the starch out of pitcher wins and how tough that is. And I still remember Jose Bautista's breakout year in September. The Blue Jays played the Mariners, and Felix Hernandez wound up winning the Cy Young Award that year. Jose Bautista hit his 50th home run of the season off of Felix Hernandez. It was the only run the Jays got. I think Hernandez went the route on a 2-hitter, and he lost. And so, that really helped me out a lot in telling people the pitcher wins, they can't control them. Storm Davis won 19 games in 1989 with an ERA over 5 because he had a fantastic team behind him. So I'm kind of proud that I hope that I've raised the level of discourse a little bit, and people have taken it much farther places than I have, which is wonderful, because the more we understand about the game, the better it makes it. I think that there are people who will say that they're all robots and it's only numbers and nothing matters and heart and grit and David Eckstein, but that stuff matters too. It just doesn't, you can't win a baseball game because you want to win it more than the other guy wants to win it. You just can't. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I take away some of the romance of it talking that way, but I think the more you understand it, the more wonderful it becomes. And I've talked for way too long, not knowing what the hell I was going to talk about. So if anyone wants to Blue Jays talk, or he said hesitantly, if anyone wants to ask me anything about my journey to get here, about the team, about any, people that I've run into along the way, I have to say, and I'm sure Dan will echo this, getting to work with Tom Cheek was one of the great experiences ever in the history of anything. I mean, very rarely do you meet someone who lives up to everything that they're supposed to be. Genuine, kind, the best human being I've ever come into contact with. And to have that guy be the guy you listen to calling baseball games your whole life is an amazing thing. And if any of you got behind the whole Facebook thing in the Hall of Fame, thank you so much for that. I can't tell you what it means to them, to the Cheeks, that finally worked.